Welcome guys, Brandon here from Terminated Gaming, and once again we're back on the Brandenburg series inside the city of Brandenburg. So I've had some questions before of why we call it Brandenburg, but I kind of felt like that might be a little bit more obvious than maybe I at first realized. So the reason we call it Brandenburg is obviously my name is Brandon, it's spelled different than what is used. I use the historical spelling of this formerly known city of Berlin, was sometimes referred to as Brandenburg. It's the Brandenburg Gates in the city of Berlin, and the nation that went on to form Prussia and went on to form modern-day Germany was the Principality of Brandenburg. My family also can trace origins to the region, so that's why I call it that. For those of you that cared. For those of you that don't care, that was a long spiel that you didn't really need to know. So what are we going to do this episode? Well, it's everybody's favorite thing that we always do. We are going to make sure that Brandenburg grows in the way that we'd like. So that means we go in and we delete things that aren't in the places we'd like to see them. That's going to go on for the next 2 episodes for sure as well. Probably even the 3rd. We really need to get the city to kind of grow and at least have the foundations of growing in the direction we'd like to see it. But the main things in this episode is just need to start with, and this is kind of a mainstay of every episode, we do build something off of, what we need. So this one we're going to be finally building in the raw material resources that are going to head down to the Topeka station, which I think we'll just call that city Topeka for now, since that was what the station generated as, and I kind of like it. And that station is going to finally send planks and steel to Brandenburg, which will send it across the water over to the unnamed place as well. I really do need city names. If you're not a part of our Discord, the link is down below. Please join it and recommend some city names. You can also recommend city names in the comments down below, but Discord is the fastest way, as this series is ahead of where you guys are seeing it. We've pre-recorded videos out quite a ways, so your guys' feedback will be taken into consideration, and if you don't see it right away, that's just because I'm way far ahead on the project. Anyways, I digress. We're like I said, just join the Discord, and I post updates on there. If you're not a part of the Patreon page and you're willing to donate money towards our cause here at Terminated Gaming, you can sign up for the Patreon. There are a whole bunch of Patreon exclusive things that you can get from there, including merchandise that I don't have any other actual merch, so it's the only way to get merchandise for Terminated Gaming is to become a Patreon member. For now, at least. We'll eventually release merchandise once we get to that point. But that's where I've been asking people to give them more ideas and different things for the series is usually what I ask on there. Going back to what's actually playing on screen, like I said, we're building a station up here. We're going to have lumber and coal and iron come from there. And the reason I do so much of it is because eventually that demand is going to be very high, so we might as well build big now. I don't care about the expense of the sandbox. And we'll just send that over to get processed. I mean, it's going to continue to take those goods, so we're going to get paid for the movement of those goods. Whether the final product's what we're not going to get paid for if there's not a lot or large demand for it. And finally, I can actually say, since I'm a couple episodes ahead of recording this, that these trains eventually get upgraded. We get better engines for these and all that kind of stuff. So, and eventually the trains get longer too, because there's so much raw material that needs to be sent, and we do end up getting like backlogs of other things. So you might be curious, this is kind of the same building principle as I had in the previous few episodes before this. If you're just starting from last episode, and it's like basically that's just the freshness. I just didn't want to change the seasons because it doesn't make sense to do that. I used to do that kind of thing, but then it's like then you have so many different playlists of like 7 videos before a restart because we figure out ideas. So this one is just a concurrent going, and things we'll learn in this one might go into season 2, of a different start. different map and all that kind of stuff. We might see how that goes. If the hype still remains for this kind of series, this kind of content, I will of course continue to provide it. But the way I want to set up Brandenburg is, like I said, how we previously did it, is every main road will have a tram eventually. There is not one running right at the moment, as the city isn't large, and the tram stops would be... There are relatively all of the trams. That central tram station can service pretty much all of Brandenburg at the moment, and they send them down to the dock and up to the train station, so that way those passengers can go where they want, even though there's no other locations to go besides Brandenburg. Besides the point, but eventually those passengers will be able to go from that central tram station down to either what's across the land or up the land, any which way. So those trams will run on those main roads that circle into the central roundabout. So all those outer roads, the two on the left and the right, and then the center, that's where the trams will run. And then the buses, if needed, will run on the central route and link up with the trams. The trams will send them wherever they need to go more quickly, and then the buses will be more localized. And then they can transfer off to a train or a boat and head to where they're going. So that's that idea. So since those trams are running on that main line, that's where most of the traffic is going to be, as it's the fastest route. And we're going to have the commercial spawn around those main tram lines. So basically the commercial's not going to be in like a one solid district, but it's going to be everywhere. And the reasoning behind that is commercial doesn't get affected by the pollution. The residential is the only thing that gets affected by the pollution. And if we spread out the commercial, that spreads out the traffic a little bit more. The industrial will all be in one little district, and the residential will be spread around everywhere where the industrial isn't, because that's my City Skylines spiel about it. Even though in this game it doesn't matter, you can have industrial, commercial, and residential all together, and it doesn't cause any problems. But in City Skylines it would. And so that's why I don't like it. I just like the idea of the commercial being closer to the residential than the industry, because personally I wouldn't want to live next to an industry. Nothing against industry. I just don't want to live next to an industry building, because otherwise I wouldn't be building all these industrial buildings in the game, because I wouldn't want to personally live next to one. But I live next to an ethanol plant, so I guess that's correlation enough. Anyways, so one of the ideas that I was pointing out in last episode that I needed to figure out, and I have 2 episodes after this one that I have already pre-recorded, and I still haven't done the thing that I said in episode 1, was to create a way for the 2 main lines to connect. We have the main line for the cargo over on the far left, and then we have the main line for the passenger, which is to the north there. And I gotta figure out how to either let that main line for the cargo just die off there, but that doesn't make sense to me, or find a way to connect 2 main lines for the passenger and the cargo, and it'll be somewhere over near where that cargo station is with the raw materials. Now, if you have any ideas for that, please feel free to leave them down below. Granted, they probably won't get used because, like I said, the series is so far ahead of where it is posted on YouTube. I think the YouTube is posting episode 5 next, and this is episode 9. Don't quote me. I'm behind in my head on what number this is. I think I'm 4 episodes ahead recording right now. Well, actually make it 6 then, because I have 2 more recorded, just no commentary put over it yet. So your ideas might not get used there. I'm gonna probably look up a few things. I have an idea of what I think would work, and it's basically just a train roundabout. Because I don't know how they would do this. I know switches would be used, but I don't know if I've ever seen a dual track system go into another dual track system to make one. So basically like a Y intersection of track. I don't think I've ever seen that in the real world. Granted, I grew up in the Midwest, and there's not a lot of trains. We don't even have the mainline system like what I do. We just have single tracks and then a bypass route. There's generally a bypass, but you don't hear trains all that often anymore either. But maybe that's different for where you live. I'm curious down below, do you guys see trains all the time? Like, trains are like a fancy thing to me. They just don't exist in my hometown. Well, they used to, but not anymore. So, oh yes, I didn't realize we did this in this episode, but this is something we're going to do. You notice there's a wide open space between where the industry is on the far left there and Brandenburg itself. So I was like, oh hey, there's an open spot here. Let's put a train station in, and let's put a whole bunch of just industry here and have a train that runs from the Brandenburg port to this. And I did a simple connection here. I just put in this, and then there's going to be in this little section, it's not going to be one way, just where those tracks lay. But there's going to be a stoplight for the trains before that and after, and before that on the track coming towards it. So that way trains can switch in here. And originally I had 2 trains running that line, and then I was like, there's not really a use for 2 trains. It's so close to the terminal. So it's just going to be 1 train, and we can make that train fairly long because the station at Brandenburg is extended. So this is going to be goods, construction materials, and food will be produced at this location. And Brandenburg Port will service it, and then this will send it back to Brandenburg Port, which will transport it out to the region or onto the trains that can go to Topeka, because we can now produce virtually all goods in the game after this point, or after episode, the next episode or the episode after that. I can't remember where I did it, but we finally put in the raw materials for that, and then that can be sent out to the rest of the region. I think by the next episode I record, so not the next episode or the episode after that, but the episode after that, 3 episodes away from this, we'll actually have our next city spawned. Because in 2 episodes from this, I started actually building the road network for Topeka up there. Granted, it might the name might change by then. I kind of hope so, because I kind of like to have some subscriber or friend-generated name ideas for this series. This is kind of a series, community series, whereas series like when we did the Terminated restorations, which went over decent. I've paused that because it's I guess it's not as much work anymore compared to what we do now for this and EU4. But in that series, it really wasn't. There was no input that you guys really could give to that series. That series was kind of just how we ran it, or how I ran it, and with no community input. So this series is more of a community input series, finally. More so than any of the other. I guess EU4 would be the next one after that. And then World of Warships is if you guys had advice, I guess, for myself in the replays that you see. But I feel like this one we can have more of a community interaction with this content than any other. And I really do enjoy doing these. It's just sometimes when commentating over them, I just I don't know if the commentary is what's making you guys enjoy this series or not. I think so, because this is one of the more popular series, it seems like, besides the replays. But you know, you gotta have some diversity on the channel. I enjoy doing all these different things. I play World of Warships quite a bit, but I enjoy doing all these different things. And I know I pointed this out in the previous episodes, is the fact that I like to zoom across the map a lot, which makes it really difficult when you do this ×4 speed that this video is on. So it's still a 15-minute video, so it took an hour to record, or like it's an hour's worth of stuff being done. And I mean, it doesn't even look like that, because I don't ever come into these with plans. I just come into them with like, oh hey, this sounds like a good idea, let's do this today. Or oh hey, I left Brandenburg to grow for a whole bunch of time, let's go see if I needed to go and delete some stuff. So maybe if I start doing plans for what I'm going to do for the videos, and then I can discuss those plans, then this commentary might be better. But I kind of like the impromptu nature of what we do. It kind of defines me as a person. Like, never really, I kind of just go with the flow. I mean, I do like planning stuff, but this is more of an impromptu series, more so than like any other series. It's like the other ones I have them like pre-done and all that. So we're nearing the end of the episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If so, very much appreciated, and I'll catch you guys most definitely on the next one. Peace out.
Shut up and sit down.